Hello and welcome to No Hipsters Pod. My name is Ronte. I am your host, the founder of NoHipstersAllowed.com. You've seen the blog, and now here is the podcast. We will be talking about music, pop culture, and everything in between. And every week we'll have a new co-host. For our first episode, we have a good friend. Her name is Khadija Robinson. She's the founder of The Nowlist, a dope directory of black businesses. I'm going to let Khadija tell you a little bit about herself and The Nowlist. Khadija, what's up?
Hey, so it's Khadija, also known as Deja Don't Need You. That's my name in the streets. And I am an attorney by day, mostly, but also a founder. Like you said, I am the founder of Nile, or The Nowlist, which is a digital platform connecting consumers to black-owned brands online. So all about making your online shopping with black businesses pop and making it easy, making it convenient, and letting people just do dope black things. So yeah.
Yeah, you're out here doing God's work. We love it. All right, so we're going to get to the topics. There are a few things that happened this week. I think top of mind for everyone, at least for me, is the Megan Thee Stallion contract situation.
When I signed, I didn't really know what was in my contract. I was young. I think I was like 20. And I didn't know everything that was in that contract.
She put out a video explaining that she had signed a deal when she was, 20 years old, and she didn't read the fine print and clearly didn't have a lawyer. And now when she signed with Roc Nation, she signed a management deal with Roc Nation, they let her know that there were things in the contract that were essentially weren't advantageous to her, and now she tried to renegotiate, and Kyle Crawford, who's the CEO of 1501, apparently wasn't having it. So actually, good thing we have a lawyer here today. So what do you have to say about that?
It's very interesting to me. I saw people talking on Twitter / Instagram. I'm like, well, that's her fault for not reading the contract and that kind of stuff. But people don't read shit every day. And It's so funny. I am the person, as a lawyer, I read most of the things that come in front of me. Unless it's something I'm really, I know it's going to be pretty standard and it's not going to really sway me that much. But you always get comments from people when you are actually reading the things that they're putting in front of you. Like, oh, you must be a lawyer, because only the lawyers are the ones that actually read this stuff. And I know for a fact that every single person in my life signs things all the time that they don't read.
Every time.
Right. You go to a website and it says, click here to say I have read the terms and conditions and I agree. And how many of y'all read that?
Right. I'm going to step in right there. I've heard that argument a lot. But my thing is, clicking I agree with your AT&T contract is different from something that actually is going to make you money.
Right. But y'all be on the phone arguing with AT&T about your bill, don't you? After you click the I agree, you click the hell out of that I agree. Then you be on the customer service facts. That don't.
Right. But I feel like with a record contract, the stakes are so much higher. I would imagine that I would read a bit more of the fine print. And also, I think it's the point you made earlier, is that even when people read, how much do they understand?
They don't understand. And a lot of times a lot of times as attorneys, the way that we write things, we do it in a way that is supposed to make it it's supposed to make it sound more formal, supposed to make it whatever. But it just makes it hard to read. You inject a lot of legalese into something in a way that makes it difficult for a person who is not well versed in X, Y, and Z to read. And not just that, but contracts are open for interpretation in many instances. Mm-hmm. People go to court and argue over what a contract says all the time. And literally, when I say open for interpretation, people have been in court arguing about what a contract meant because of the placement of a comma in a sentence. And that's a thing.
Wow.
And so you might be a regular person who's pretty diligent, and when you read it, you think you understand it, and what you thought that you understood is just not the way that a court would understand that particular document.
Wow.
Or not the way that particular court would understand that particular document.
Still because human beings, right?
And courts fall into different buckets on the same types of contracts and issues all the time. So you really probably do want to get a lawyer when you're dealing with something that is more important, but I'm not going to just wag my finger at people for not necessarily doing that, because you think you understand, especially like she said she was like 20 when she read this. I mean, honestly,
what does anyone know at 20, right?
What do you know? But you think you know everything, because I in my head I was the smartest person alive when I was 20, so I probably didn't think I needed, and I was going to law school anyway. In 7 years, I was going to be a lawyer, so why did I need a lawyer? You know, you're just dumb.
Right.
You probably just it's like, unfortunate. I know what I'm talking about, and you. Also, beyond that, a lot of times people, when they come into these situations where there's this power dynamic and the other side is presenting you with something, you don't want to seem like you don't know what you're talking about. Right. You don't want them to know that you don't know what these words mean and you don't know what this particular clause in the contract really means, because you feel like you might be opening yourself up to be taken advantage of even more.
Right.
So you don't want to be like, oh, well, what exactly why does this? Because then you feel like you're going to be looking dumb and they're going to know that you don't know what you're talking about. So you feel even more pressure to just kind of roll with things.
Right. And I guess most people don't think, oh, a lawyer could actually read this for me. And even if you do, lawyers are expensive.
Lawyers are expensive.
So there are all those factors. So now, after all that happens, Jay Prince, which I'm still not entirely sure of why he's involved with this, but I mean, I guess he does have a relationship with Carl Crawford, so he steps in with the post. Okay, actually, she names Jay Prince in a lawsuit. Yeah, in the lawsuit against 1501. And so he makes a post on Instagram, essentially calling Roc Nation culture vultures and saying that, the little guy builds up the artist and then Roc Nation comes to swipe them out once he made something out of her. And so what would be your take on that? I mean, it's a hard, statement to refute. It is true.
It's true.
It is true in some ways, but,
But however, also, if what she's saying is true, that she wanted to renegotiate and she wasn't trying to leave the label, but trying to just renegotiate her terms, it's business, baby. If you don't want to level up to what the other competition is doing around you, well, guess what, boo? You're going to get left in the nest. That is how it is. Unless you're offering something else that the competition isn't. Maybe she didn't have the best terms in one way in her contract, but it's offset by the fact that she knows that she has complete creative control over something, or you have other things that go into your contract besides just the money that are going to keep people with your label or with your business versus other folks. But if you're bringing drama and you want to renegotiate and she can't drop music and all these problems, then you're like, oh, well, you want to go to the big.
But I think they made a mistake making it this acrimonious, because she wasn't trying to leave. And I think if you have an artist who is becoming bigger by the day, the smart place to try to keep her there, as opposed to creating all this drama. Because now are you going to lose her?
Right.
But
then other people aren't going to want to.
Exactly. And so. And
who has heard? Did you ever hear of this music label before Megan Thee Stallion?
Exactly. So So yeah, you did. Yes, I mean they deserve credit for making helping her career, but ultimately she brought them some shine too. And so I don't think it was a smart play on their part, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. And people, I will say, it's a tale as old as time. Kids growing up in the 80s and 90s know that literally was every artist.
Right.
that got screwed over by their label.
Right. I was I posted about Toni Braxton this weekend.
How many times she been bankrupt? About 11 times?
Don't do Toni like that.
Toni be bankrupt every other day. No. I swear. I'm is Toni on a private jet today or is she bankrupt?
Stop it.
I don't know which one. It's always a coin toss.
Stop it. But this weekend, her song, He Wasn't Man Enough, turned 20. And in my post, I mentioned how it was a bit of a comeback because she was bankrupt right before that because she was blowing her cash.
She's always bankrupt.
Stop.
That was 20 years ago. She was bankrupt. I swear, if I Google right now, she's been bankrupt in the last 5 years.
Oh yeah, that is true. She was bankrupt in 2013, but it's just 2 times, right? It's just that's okay. 2 bankruptcies is not bad. Donald Trump's been bankrupt 4 times, so I mean,
don't even get me started.
I guess his business has been bankrupt. He wasn't personally bankrupt, but still. But my point on that was
Google it and fact check you. How many times has Tony been bankrupt?
No, I think it's just twice. But Tony, this happened like within 2 years of TLC being bankrupt, and both of them filed for bankruptcy at the height of their careers. Mm-hmm. And so that just lets you know that if you can get bankrupt like after you sold 20 million albums, it can happen to anybody. And if it just comes down to reading your contract.
Okay, so she's only filed for bankruptcy twice, but apparently she also got tax problems.
Poor Tony.
Poor Tony. You went through all the bankruptcies, ain't pay your taxes.
And buying Gucci flatware. That was a whole big thing. So,
Gucci's so ghetto. That's the topic for another day. No, but it makes so much sense to, especially the way a lot of these contracts are written when the artists are doing really well ostensibly and are still like cash poor. Because they have to pay for that stuff in a lot of their contracts. They're paying for the videos, security, videos, venues, costumes, travel, all of these things that are being taken out of their monies in their contracts that they didn't have a lawyer to help them with.
Right. So I think definitely both artists had bad deals, and they were both signed to LaFace, by the way. So same record labels. So clearly there was something going on there. But also
getting their money.
Right.
They was getting the money.
Right. Exactly.
And the artists weren't.
weren't reading the fine print. But also, I think neither of them were songwriters, and that's where most of the money is in the industry.
Right.
And so if you're only just getting money from tours or whatever, performances, and it's not like the same as when you get the writing royalties.
But I also say, in the music industry, you have a fundamental power dynamic issue, right? Because until you're hot,
it's a labels market.
It's a labels market, and you have very little leverage to even negotiate those contracts. You're somebody who's trying to come up and trying to get big.
And say, all right, take it or leave it.
And they're like, okay, you want us to make you big. Then you go come on our terms.
Right.
And then it's not until you are big that you now have the leverage of a Megan Thee Stallion, when she was 20, negotiating that contract, had zero leverage in comparison to Meg Thee Stallion, who is a
25 now,
household name, at least amongst black folks.
Right.
And folks in Sweden, they love her.
She go.
Right? And the leverage that she has now as the biggest thing that's ever happened at that record label.
Facts.
Is very different.
Yeah.
And so, you just, it's
cold.
hard.
It's cold in these parking lots.
It's a cold world out there. A lot of your ability to negotiate contracts and make demands is based on your marketability. And if the record labels aren't fighting over you,
what you gonna do? All right, so let's change gears a bit and talk about a video that went viral this week. So there's this little girl who's 4 years old. Her name's Ariyonna, I believe. And she's getting her hair done by this lady whose Instagram name is Lil Wave Daddy. Which right.
I love us.
I love same. And so she's getting her hair, getting her locks twisted, and all of a sudden she's looking at a mirror, I presume, and just says, "I'm so ugly." Just out of nowhere.
I'm so ugly. What?
Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that. You are so pretty.
And the lady who's doing her hair, tells her, don't say that. And, the girl starts crying, and now the lady's crying as well. And she's giving her all these affirmations. And so the girl has gone viral. And it's sparked a lot of conversation about, what makes a kid think, but not just say that about herself. And it definitely broke my heart, because I feel like even with all those affirmations, that feeling will always be there. And who knows what that will do to her confidence as she gets older. And it also makes me wonder how many, black girls grow up feeling that way and maybe are still walking around with those thoughts in their head. And, it was really sad. It was really sad.
So many. I mean, there are so many women that I know, and you're like, some of the things that they deal with from men, from people in their lives in general, and you're like, why are you dealing with this? And a lot of it goes back to that confidence and that self-image that they have, which has been disturbed and jacked up from such an early age. And also, kids are cruel. Kids are cruel. Who even knows who has called her ugly?
Right. I still wonder if she was called ugly or if she was just treated in a way that made her feel that.
People, I'm sure someone came like, you ugly. Shut up, ugly. That's why you get, kids say all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, it really, honestly, that was my cry for today when I watched that video. I was just I saw people talking about it on Instagram, and I was like, what is this? And then I watched it, I was like, oh my God.
It is so sad.
And when the little girl started crying, because the way that she says it was almost like a question, like, I'm so ugly. So imagine you already have this idea of yourself at 4. And now,
5 years ago, she wasn't alive. Like, that's how young she is. Like, what?
That is how young she is. And then you progress to 12, 13, when you're going through all kinds of little hormonal changes and everything. And you already have that idea yourself. Who even knows who said, like, what her home environment is, who said this kind of stuff to her when she deals with that school. It was deep. It was deep, but seeing everybody on the internet just going in for her, really,
and rallying around her.
I'm like, we need to, the thing is, though, we can't.
I feel annoying comments here and there, though. Some people are like, oh, she feels ugly because of her hair. And I'm like, all right, shut the hell up.
But for me, I'm like, we can't rally around this girl, and then if she were like 24 instead of 4, be on the internet calling her ugly, which is what these same grown people would be doing.
Exactly.
And they're not even like, in 20 years, these people talk about how ugly Blue Ivy is, and she's a whole child on the internet.
Facts.
Like, I be having my own opinions about some people's kids and their personal appearance. I'm not going to go on Al Gore's internet and talk about a child on Al Gore's freaking internet.
Generally speaking, how I, conduct my life is that I don't talk about people's looks, at least in public. I mean, it's just because, like, if you're not
what
perfect,
is the point?
There's no point. It's just cruel. But also, if you're not perfect, like, do you want anyone on your case? Like, do you want us to talk about your looks?
But
with a child, it just makes this just ridiculous. Like, why would you even go there?
So people are like shocked and appalled that a child will be internalizing these feelings about herself. They are the ones who communicate those sorts of things to people all the time.
In spoken and unspoken ways. I really still have a feeling that was probably born out of, like, just the way she was treated by people. She's with other kids, and they're doting on perhaps a lighter skinned child and not her, and maybe she's just always feeling ignored for whatever reason. Like, it's just
it's sad.
It stresses me out, really, because I know that there's nothing you can do about these things, because you can only tell people to, like, do better and be more mindful about how they speak and to and treat people, and especially kids. But like, the reason why I just feel helpless is I don't think that there's anything that could be done to reverse the damage that's been done to that girl. Like,
no. Yeah, 4 years old.
4 years old, and she thinks that about herself and actually said it. It makes me so sad.
It is sad. There are so many little girls like that. Especially, she's a darker skinned girl. Yeah. Especially when you're talking about darker skinned little girls. Especially when you're talking about little girls who are not super skinny. That, just the kinds of comments, even the kinds of, comments that your own family members will make.
Oh, yeah.
That people will make supposedly out of love. And from a young age, like, oh, baby, you sure you want to be eating that? Or you really just, you didn't feel like doing your hair? You just come in like that, they will shade you. No, they will shade you, but your family can honestly do/say some of the most hurtful stuff to you. I will never forget my cousin. I was at her house in Atlanta, and I was walking around barefoot, and she looked at my feet and was like, huh. And I was just like, or like something along the lines of like, aren't you an adult? Why are your like toenails not painted? You should have some kind of nail polish or something on them toes. And made me feel so self-conscious. Honestly, it was legit about 10 years before I felt comfortable going outside without having toenail polish on. Just that one comment from a cousin who I really like looked up to. Yeah. And something as trivial as toenail polish. So like,
and she probably
imagine
said it out of love too.
And I'm sure if I said that to her, she would not have
even
any
remember.
idea what I was talking about.
Remember she said that to you, like,
right?
Damn.
Yeah,
oh, I'm sorry that happened.
But that's the kind of stuff that happens all the time, and especially with family members, especially with people who we respect and trust and value and all that stuff. So you have to be particularly careful with the people who are in your circle, because a lot of times you say things that you think you're just saying to like help that person, or you're making some offhand comment that you don't think anything of, and you never know what's going to stick with people. And I am trying to get better with that, because
the whole time I'm thinking about myself, damn.
Like, I'm the queen of an offhand comment and an off-color comment at that. And I'm trying to not be as reckless, because you really just, you never know how things impact, especially when you don't know what other things folks are dealing with and how they're going to, like, maybe on some other day, I would have just been like, girl, whatever, and gone about my business. But like on that particular day, the way that I was feeling and the way that I was already like thinking about myself, whatever, it just stuck with me. And that was legit like almost 15 years ago.
Wow. It's like, damn.
Right.
It's a long time.
It's a long time to be older. And that's something trivial. So I can't even imagine. Just things that are more meaningful and more serious, and especially when they're really actually said with like a harmful intention.
Yeah. All right. Well, from this sad, depressing story to another also sad story, but more disturbing than anything else. So, Azriel Clary.
Oh, God. We can't talk about that. Can we talk about coronavirus? I can't talk about the super flu. I do not want to talk about poop in a cup.
Oh, right.
Wait, y'all remember 2 Girls, 1 Cup?
Yeah. That was a really dark time.
Hopefully the people listening to this are old enough to know what I'm talking about.
Right, yeah. And if you don't know what we're talking about, you're too young. So don't
Google it.
Yeah.
Spare yourself. Don't Google it. It's nasty. I'm just going to say that.
Super nasty. But yeah, Azriel Clary, R. Kelly's ex-girlfriend, who was his living girlfriend and who has been, defending him in the press in the past.
Are we okay to call her his ex-girlfriend when he was like child molesting her when they first got together?
Well,
I feel like
So he technically got her when she was above age of consent wherever she was, and so
she was already like what 16?
She was like 17 or something. So what he was doing was essentially operating in like the fringes of legality.
I'm gonna just go ahead and call her his victim.
It's okay.
Because
fine by me.
I don't operate on the fringes of legality when it comes to sexual assault and trash ass men.
Facts.
Agreed. Even if it is not a sexual assault in the eyes of the law, I'm gonna just go ahead and call that what it is.
That's fair. So R. Kelly's victim, Azriel Clary, posted a video on Instagram, which appears to be a trailer for an upcoming documentary. And in the video, she's on tape speaking to what I believe were the authorities.
He has a video of me, he made me do this video actually of me doing a number 2 in a cup and then eating it out of the cup.
It's just unbelievably gross, first of all.
I'm like, I literally have goosebumps right now
It really
just
is.
thinking
And
about
it
it.
just gives you, and of course, all of this she's alleging, and we're, we don't, I mean, unless we see the tape, who knows? But this allegedly happened, and if this did happen, even if she were a 30-year-old woman who was in a relationship with him, this would still be some very sick, deviant behavior. But we're talking about someone who's about a third of his age, at least at the time. And to make her do something like that is beyond wild, and definitely, I think, just adds to the long list of reasons to think that R. Kelly is a creep.
Beyond a creep,
and
this
just
man
really
is
should be
sick.
locked up.
Okay, so this is my thing, right? I very strongly believe after 5 years of practicing law, working in a federal courthouse, all these things, that we need to abolish the prison system because it is all kinds of jacked up. I am a prison.
That's going to take us to on a tangent.
I'm a prison abolitionist. However, you don't have to be. That's fine. But it's the prison system. Prison system is inherently racist. It is what it is. But
I think that can be.
I think. So my take is that it is inherently racist because that's how it was designed to be, and you can't make something what it's not. Like, just because you change out parts of a machine doesn't mean that machine operates to a different end. It's still fulfilling the end purpose.
Take us on like a wild tangent.
But what I'm saying to go there,
you have to come back so we can kind of flesh out the conversation.
Oh, we can talk about that all day, baby.
Yeah.
But what I do want to say is that people think when I say I'm a prison abolitionist, as other people are, that we think there should just be no prisons and anybody who's a criminal just like released and everybody runs free no matter what they did, right? And I'm not sure exactly why people think that, but I think what we think of as prisons now is what I am saying needs to be abolished. And the way that we cage and inhumanely, sort of treat people within our system really needs to be changed and completely restructured. But I do believe that there are people who need to be segregated away from the general population because they are dangerous, period. In my eyes, R. Kelly has proven himself beyond 187 trillion % to be one of those people. That man, I don't believe that jail should exist, but as long as it does, he should be under it. And once we abolish it, he needs to be in whatever means that we are using to keep dangerous individuals away from people who they can inflict harm and danger on. Mm-hmm. He's
scary.
A reprehensible human.
He's scary. It's really
just
scary.
Reprehensible. And you can tell, even in this little interview he did with Gail, he is all the way gone in the head.
Yeah.
And it's very sad when you have situations like this with people like him who are victims themselves.
Right.
And then turn out this way. And in an optimal world, when part of my ideology when it comes to prison abolition is that we really work harder to address those situations before they become an R. Kelly in the adult age, when they are R. Kellys in the childhood stages, and get them out of those situations that are doing them mental harm,
right,
and physical harm. But like, your boy is insane.
Crazy. And also, I want to add that I do understand that many victims end up being perpetrators, but the fact of the matter is that most don't.
Right.
And that's why even though it's sad that things happen to him, I still don't think that's any excuse for his behavior. It is just crazy.
And also
just the volume of victims.
The volume. And then, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe. I was born in 89. I grew up with R. Kelly in the background for a large part of my life. I mean, his songs not that damn good. Like, which stepping song justifies being like, I know that nigga got slaves that he locks up in his studio.
I know what you
but
mean.
however, the remix to Ignition Fire.
Right. Well, I thought you were saying overall his music wasn't good, but nah, it's not.
His music is it's fine.
It's good, but it's definitely not good enough to excuse any of this.
I mean, it's not like I just
for me, I can't even listen to his music anymore because I just can't help but think about who he is, and unfortunately, so many of his songs are actually like autobiographical. So it's like, yo,
age ain't nothing but a number.
Yeah, this is.
Did he produce and lurking in the background, and you're like, oh my god, this takes on a whole new meaning now that I know.
It's weird. Yeah, like a lot of them are actually about his victims, so they're just weird.
It's very weird, but I'm just like, which of the 27 stepping songs was it that really pushed y'all to disregard this man's blatant psychiatric, like, psycho, like, craziness?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can't, overstate the power of fame, and when someone has made all these songs that really have become like part of people's lives, like I Believe I Can Fly is like really like an inspirational song. He was a part of people's lives. Also, R. Kelly has written songs for everybody.
Yeah, this is also true.
And so he's just so embedded in like popular music in a way that just made it hard for people to let him go. But I'm glad that we're in this moment now and people are doing things about it. And
it's very interesting to me because when you say something about R. Kelly, people are like, well, what about Michael Jackson? And I'm like, that's a whole different animal. Number one, R. Kelly ain't no damn Michael Jackson. Number one. That's number one.
That's A.
No, first and foremost.
Yeah.
But number two, one of my coworkers once made a really good point, and he was like, whether or not things about Michael Jackson are true, I don't feel bad about listening to Michael Jackson music because listening to his music doesn't enrich him because he's dead. If I am actively listening to R. Kelly's things right now, I am literally putting money in his actual pockets to continue to victimize people.
Right. And unlike Michael Jackson, unlike R. Kelly rather, there's actually like supposed evidence that refutes some of what his accusers have said, which I don't know that R. Kelly has any of that. And
no, but he could scream at Gayle King for mad love. Get up and yell and jump up and down.
Because we can't ignore the fact that Finding Neverland has been pulled from HBO's lineup and even Oprah had to scrub the post from her social media because apparently some of the stories end up being demonstrably false. Yeah. So it is what it is. But
but then again, maybe R. Kelly was trying to buy a TV station. Apparently, anytime a black man is a serial assaulter, it's because the white man trying to tear him down for trying to do something they don't want the black man to do.
When Bill Cosby was about to go to jail, all the hoteps of social media said that he was by NBC, and that's why they brought him down. So.
Did anybody ever have any evidence that he was actually trying to buy NBC?
No, because that wasn't happening. If people understood how much money it would cost to buy NBC, you would realize what a stupid thing that is to say. But
and I'm pretty sure Byron Allen bought the whole Weather Channel, and ain't nobody came out saying he was a sexual assaulter.
Oh shit!
Yes, he did. Weather Channel, black on now, baby. I be getting weather updates. Happy.
Get out of here.
But yes, and they did not make him a sexual assaulter. Speaking of sexual assaulters, though, Tavis Smiley got a little comeuppance this week. Did you see that?
Oh, what happened?
Oh, Tavis Smiley. So, he got booted out his show.
The first Me Too wave, 2017.
I can't remember which wave he was in.
He was the first wave.
But he was accused of sexual assault and I'm not going to say assault because I don't know the particulars, but I do know that subordinates of his in his show and just in the station accused him of basically using his position to coerce them to do things. and hitting on them, making people feel uncomfortable, carrying on relationships. There were allegations of like non-consensual things, but I can't remember what level it rose to. Either way, he was kicked off the show, terminated
from the network. Yeah,
right, and they used the morality clause to do that. So he comes with his little like, y'all not gonna smear my good name, and goes to court and sues them, sues NBC, for letting him go. I think it was NBC.
Oh, okay.
But PBS. Okay. Sues the network for letting him go, and they counterclaim against him because they were like, nah, Negro, nah. Right. And this man loses in the jury trial. Now he got to pay the network $1.5 million. And I'm like,
I hate to see it.
You hate to freaking see it. However, I don't hate to see it. I don't care. Right. Because I'm like, can you imagine? Not only did they have to find that he had breached this morality clause, but they actually made a finding that these allegations of sexual misconduct were credible.
Oh, they did?
Yes, they made this finding. So I'm like, can you imagine the sheer unmitigated gall
he definitely
to know that you ain't shit and go to court and try to sue them for laying up? Can you imagine?
Yeah, he wasn't a smart bet on that one, but
not smart at all. And I'm sure Tavis Smiley ain't got $1.5 million.
He might. Come on now, he's been in the game for a while. I would hope he does. At least
Market's not good right now. Yeah. But I'm like, oh, you hate to see it. But you know what? Tavis Smiley was probably trying to buy a network. So. That's like.
Yep, that's how it is.
Trying to keep the black man down.
Yep. All right, so let's do winners and losers for this week.
Okay, so my loser first.
Oh, your loser first? Okay.
My loser first is the baby. We had this conversation earlier about him slapping, mushing, whatever he did to this lady at his concert. And I didn't even know he had a history of just knocking people out.
Yeah, he's good for that.
But yeah, I'm going to have to go with him as my loser of the week because apparently he also just got booed out the place after he hit this woman, which good on them for not wanting to watch a show after he hit some lady. But
right, he's always smacking someone.
Yeah, that's probably not what you want to do, especially when you're just at the beginning of your career.
Yeah.
I don't know why these people don't learn from history. All these folks who like sputtered out because they did a lot of dumb things like assault people on camera, but you know.
And then who's your winner?
So my winner, I'm gonna say coronavirus.
Oh God. That Rona.
That Rona is out here winning, dog. Taking over continent to continent to continent.
And tanking the market. So apparently the richest people in the world lost $400 billion.
I ain't even see what I lost because I ain't got no money. Same. I didn't even log into my trading account. It's gonna come back.
Right.
I mean, that's the good thing about having money in the market. You don't actually lose any money until you sell.
Right.
So I ain't lost shit.
That's fair.
Because I don't need to sell right now. So I'm just like, man, it is what it is. Yeah. When that Rona go away, I'm gonna be winning again. Yeah. But that Rona is taking us out right now.
Yeah, for sure. So the big losers, Apple, because they haven't paid $500 million for fucking with our phones all these years. And
y'all's phones.
Well, you know, DJ, you need to grow up and get an iPhone, but
so I could be part of the class action lawsuit like y'all.
I mean, all them green bubbles.
I'll take my green bubbles.
Okay.
Samsung is not slowing down my phone, baby.
Your phone exploding though. What's up?
My phone is exploding.
No, but really, honestly, Apple, I think they've gotten too powerful. So someone actually mentioned how they made $8 billion from selling AirPods last year, which is weird because they kind of created their own gap market and just essentially got rid of like the headphone jack, and now they have this, the lightning and this and that, and then essentially force people to pay for these $200 Bluetooth headphones. And I think it's actually not hilarious, but ridiculous that we're letting them get away with it. But
we are not doing anything. That's why I don't participate with Apple. And I have to make a plug right now, because there are 2 different Black-owned cell phone companies that I know of in the country. One actually makes their own cell phones. So my contract is up in May. And I've been really thinking about this, because I was like, ooh, T-Mobile has a special for the new Samsung. I might want to hop on that. Then I'm like, wait a minute. I need my Black people phone. It's called Figgers, Figgers. And they make a phone that's like on an Android system, but they have a really, really like nice top of the line 5G phone that they make.
So you're putting your money where your mouth is.
I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I'm gonna go over to them. I already have their earbuds that I bought when I saw them at a convention last year, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And I went on their website, bought some earbuds, recommended it to other people who purchased them and really liked them.
So my winner for the week is Megan Thee Stallion.
Hey.
She definitely was able to get that album out, even when, the devil thought he had her, but he
ain't get her.
But he ain't get her. And so, yeah, she's winner for the week. New album that dropped, and the reviews have been overwhelmingly positive. So, good thing for Megan. I will admit though, like I'm still struggling to really get into music. Like I feel like with Cardi B, like I got into it right away.
Oh.
I haven't been as quick to really fall in love.
That's because you're not a hot girl.
Well, like there you go.
Because I vibe with her music very well.
All right. Well, Khadija, thank you so much. Definitely have to come back. And once again, her company is The Nile List. Can you please plug the social media handles real quick?
It is The Nile List everything. Our domain name, thenilelist.com. And on all the socials, The Nile List. Instagram,
Twitter, everything.
LinkedIn. We professionals.
Right.
And shit.
All right. So first episode, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week. Take care. Bye.